I was in my undergrad, one of my best friends was deciding whether or not to leave her fiancé of 11 years. They had met after high school and had been in each other's lives ever since. They'd lived together, they had 2 dogs together, and they were only a year away from their wedding date. She talked about how he's been in her life forever, how she had thought of him as the future father of her children. They talked about their problems. They went to couples counseling, but every time she thought that they had made progress, he would just slip back into his old ways. When she talked about him, you'd think she would look sad or maybe even hopeful, but she didn't. She looked exhausted, the way someone would look taking the SAT for 11 years. She said, "I don't know what to do. I'm really considering ending it, but what if it's the wrong decision? What if I'm going to regret it?" You know what she did to decide? Stick around until the end of the episode and you'll find out. My name's Damian Barton, and today we're going to talk about prudence. We'll go over what it is, why it matters, and most importantly, we'll talk about one trick you can use anytime you need to make a big decision. Let's get into it. In Nemick and McGrath's fantastic book, The Power of Character Strengths, they describe prudence as wise caution. It means being careful about your choices and being able to stop and think before acting. You're purposely taking a moment to think before acting on a decision that you could later come to regret. This doesn't mean that you're unable to take risk or act spontaneously, but someone who's prudent will be able to weigh the pros and cons of what they're doing before they make their decision, especially if it's a big decision that could have far-reaching consequences. If we underuse prudence, we're going to act without thinking and could open ourselves up to real problems down the line. In a world of short attention spans and social media addiction, our environment is designed to make us act impulsively. Every time your phone sends you a notification or an advertisement shows you a delicious, juicy burger, it's trying to get you to make a decision impulsively. Don't carry over that attitude to the biggest decisions of your life. If we overuse prudence, we'll be seen as stiff and rigid. When someone is called a prude, it's a derogatory way of pointing out how overly cautious someone's being. Prudence overuse is often associated with anxiety and uncertainty. We don't want to minimize our ability to act with ambition and take risk. We just want to use prudence to temper our choices so we make the best decisions we can. It's time for the
takeaway tip.
This trick is deceptively simple but remarkably effective. Every big decision that you have to make can be put into this format. We're going to use a modified pros and cons list. Instead of making 2 columns, we're going to use 4. In your 4 columns, write, what are the benefits of doing X? What are the cost of doing X? What are the benefits of not doing X? And what are the costs of not doing X? So let's say you're trying to decide whether to break up with your fiancé of 11 years. What are the benefits of breaking up with him? She'll be able to focus on school and her career. What are the costs of breaking up with him? She'll miss out on the future she had planned with him. What are the benefits of not breaking up with him? She won't have to go through the pain of ending a more than decade-long relationship. What are the costs of not breaking up with him? She could likely end up in an unhappy marriage and eventually have to divorce him, which will be a lot more difficult considering their finances are legally tied together and they might have kids together by then. Doing this cost-benefit analysis helped my friend figure out the decision she ultimately went with. She ended the relationship. I just recently talked to her and she told me, and I quote, "It was the right decision." Now, this is just an example. Don't use just one bullet point per column. The whole point of prudence is that you're trying to think through possible outcomes. You're trying to see all possibilities before you make your choice, so you make the best possible decision. So remember, prudence is the ability to have wise caution and to think before you make a consequential decision. The underuse of prudence will make you act impulsively and without regard for future consequences. And the overuse of prudence will make you come off as rigid and unable to take risk. And if you have a big decision you need to make, use Nemec and McGrath's modified cost-benefit analysis to help you out. Don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button to be notified every time a new episode is released. If you want to take part in the Barton Blueprint for Emotional Intelligence's mission to destigmatize mental health, the most helpful thing you can do is share this episode with your friends and family. The more people who share, the faster this information is going to get out into the world to the people who really need it. Also, if you like this show and want more information, go ahead and follow us on all of our social media. There's a bunch of extra content like infographics of some of the takeaway tips and key concepts, as well as some fantastic mental health quotes by many of the most notable names in the field of psychology. The links are down in the description below. And if you want to know more about any of the research used in this episode, I always include the links in the description below. And as always, thank you for taking care of each other and taking care of yourself.